Hello, you are watching Talking Europe on France 24 with me, Catherine Nicholson. Thanks for being with us. Now, our guest today is Spain's Foreign Minister, Alfonso Dastis. And thanks very much to you for being with us, Mr. Dastis, from Madrid.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we will, of course, be discussing the ongoing crisis in Spain as Catalan regional leaders push on with a bid for independence. There has been shock around the world at footage of national police using violent methods at times to try to stop the October 1st vote. In the last couple of days, Spain's Constitutional Court has blocked a Catalan regional parliament session on Monday the 9th, in which it was thought an independence declaration might come. Meanwhile, there's been reaction from Europe and banks and businesses talking seriously about shifting their operations elsewhere than Catalonia. So, Mr. Dastis, first question to you. This does look like a deadlock situation at the moment. Where does your government plan to go from here?
Well, the government plans to go to where it has always wanted to go, which is to have dialogue with all Spanish political parties and Catalan political parties to try and find a way out of this situation created by a government like the current Catalan government, who simply wanted to, divide the Catalan society, disregard their laws, the Catalan laws, the Spanish laws, and send them into a situation which runs totally opposite to what we are all trying to do in Spain and in Europe, which is unite and not divide.
Well, it's interesting that you say that you are open to the idea of dialogue on this situation, because the Catalans have repeatedly said the same thing. Catalonia's foreign minister told me just 2 weeks ago that they are ready for negotiations, but we're getting this message that they want the Spanish government, your government, to come to them with suggestions. Why hasn't that happened?
Look, they may say that they are in for dialogue, but they were only interested in talking about how to organize a referendum. And unfortunately, however much anyone would have wanted to discuss that, this is something that the government cannot accept because it runs against the Spanish constitution, but also the the Catalan laws. So we want to enter into dialogue without preconditions and without having dialogue about something which is illegal.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want to see and hear from the Catalan regional authorities that will make you believe that serious dialogue can start happening?
Well, abandon that bid for unilateral independence, and let's go back to the situation that was before. I mean, you see, Catalonia has the level of competences and powers which is the highest in Spain, together with the Basques, and it's higher than it is in other, federal states. I think that they have more powers than the Länder in Germany have. So I don't think they can claim that they are oppressed as they have been claiming. I think that what they have to do is to come back to their senses and talk about if there is any more possibilities to accommodate their aspirations within the Spanish constitution. If needed, we may be able to amend that constitution, but according to the procedures, the channels, the rules, and the ways provided for in a constitution that has been approved some 40 years ago by more than 90% people in Catalonia.
Well, just talking about everything that has happened up to now amid this crisis, there is a perception for many people that your government perhaps should have been saying these kinds of things somewhat earlier. And there's also the issue of that rather violent behaviour by some of the members of the Spanish National Police on the day of the referendum itself. Now, Friday lunchtime, we heard the government's representative in Catalonia apologise for police actions on October the 1st. Do you regret how your government has handled this?
Honestly, I mean, we regret the images and we regret whatever unfortunate incidents may have taken place. But if force was used, it was not a premeditated use of force. We don't think, by the way, that it was brutality or irrational force. They had a mandate to follow what the court had told them to do, which was to prevent this referendum from taking place, to take some boxes and ballot papers, etc. They were prevented from doing so, and they had to react. And you have to be also aware that they are subjected to a situation of harassment and hostility that inevitably may create such situations. But I think what you have seen, and especially what the Catalan government has claimed, is way too exaggerated. I think they talk about hundreds of people injured. I find it difficult to take any figure offered by a government that has been peddling lies so blatantly, to take that at face value. And I don't think that there have been more than 2 or 4 people in the hospital. So it's hard to believe,
This has been extremely contentious. We have seen a perception all around the world, as people watched those images, that the Spanish government has come out of this very much at fault. Some people have talked about this being a return to the atmosphere of the Franco era, which I know is very strong language for Spanish people. You do seem to be losing the media war, don't you?
Well, I mean, look, I don't like to talk about media wars or anything. We are not in a war of propaganda. We are trying to set the record straight. I think that if you go to Catalonia, you can perfectly well see that there is nothing, what is going on is nothing comparable to the Franco era. I think it's rather preposterous that someone can claim that. There may have been a few incidents, but as I said, there were unwanted incidents enforced by the harassment that the police forces were subjected to. They were isolated incidents, and I think calm is back in Catalonia, and a perfectly normal way of life.
We could be facing a new flashpoint with Catalonia if and when the authorities there do declare independence. The Catalans defied the Constitutional Court to hold the referendum in the first place. Do you believe that they will respect this latest court ruling to stop them holding their parliament session on Monday, when it is widely believed that they might try to declare independence?
Well, we hope that they will accept the rulings of the Constitutional Court. I think from what I hear that instead of Monday, President Puigdemont will appear before Parliament on Tuesday. All we hope is that common sense will be back in the government of Catalonia, and they will be ready to discuss about a way out within the framework of the Spanish Constitution and, by the way, the Catalan legislation.
Do you think perhaps with this talk of declarations coming a bit later in the week that Carles Puigdemont, the regional president, is perhaps playing for time a little bit?
Well, I don't know. You would have to ask President Puigdemont, but I think that the longer this situation goes on, the worse it will be for the people in Catalonia. They have to, lead their normal life, go on with their jobs, and being what they have always been, which is a very entrepreneurial and a very important part of the Spanish people. And that's what we all want.
And the big question, really, what if the Catalan authorities do declare independence? Is there a plan? How far would your government go to stop that happening?
Well, I think it's early to discuss that. As I said, we sincerely hope that there will not be a unilateral declaration of independence. I think that's a bridge that we'll cross when we get there. We will continue acting as we have acted with, with calm, with proportionality, abiding by the law, and making everything possible to ensure that, people in Catalonia can continue being both part of Spain and of Catalonia.
Now, we are seeing people all around Catalonia and wider Spain wondering how this crisis might be going to impact on them. We actually have a report now on how one of the most iconic Catalan institutions is being drawn in. The president of FC Barcelona has weighed in on the referendum. The club itself could actually be facing some rather stark choices if Catalonia did seriously try to break away. This report comes from Florent Rodeau and Simon Harding.
The club embodies the Catalan identity. Football Club Barcelona's slogan reads, "Much more than a club," and that is exactly what it is. Despite never taking a definitive position on the region's independence, the club stated it was in favour of holding the referendum. Now, it has appealed for dialogue between parties.
There need to be talks and negotiations to find a solution to the current political situation, but this must be done by respecting the opinion of the Catalan majority who want to have a say on their future. We are more than a club.
Bewildered by police violence on the day of the vote, FC Barcelona cancelled its training sessions the following Tuesday. Its official stores were also shut. Their stadium, the Camp Nou, with a capacity of over 100,000 people, has always been a stage for Catalonians to express their opinions. Pro-independence slogans, draped in red and yellow, during each match, fans always emphasise their heritage. Increased tenfold when arch-rivals Real Madrid are in town. Many of their away kits have historically reflected the Catalan flag. For the last week, Barcelona have been visibly disrupted by events. 2 executives resigned, annoyed by the club's decision to play the Las Palmas match the day of the ballot behind closed doors. But what consequences would the club have to face if independence is unilaterally declared by the Catalan authorities? From a sporting point of view, the club would probably be forced to leave the Spanish league. Economically, it could also be disastrous. Barcelona receive over 140 million euros in Spain from television rights.
Well, Mr. Destis, of course, it's not just about football. We have seen several banks talking about making plans to leave Catalonia. Your government has now passed a law to facilitate this kind of move. How worried are you about the impact on Spain's economy?
Well, we are worried. This government has made a huge effort to ensure that the economy picks up. We are going through a recovery which is a healthy one, and we wouldn't like to see that compromised by this irresponsible bid for unilateral independence. All we want is to stay together. We want Barcelona to keep up playing in the Spanish league, and it's always very fine to talk about right to decide and wanting to vote. We all want to vote. The problem is not voting or not voting, but about what one votes, and we don't want a part to decide for the whole of the country.
Well, we have been hearing from Europe this week calling for dialogue between the government and the Catalan authorities. Some people believe that Europe just should be getting in there, intervening as a mediator. Others, though, saying that that would be beyond the EU's remit, beyond its powers. Do you believe that intervention from the European Union would be helpful?
No, I don't think so. I think, intervention by the European Union, what has to mean is that to encourage all member states to abide by the principles and values of the European Union, of the European constructions, which are the rule of law, democratic legitimacy, the goal of unity of the peoples and not division or fragmentation.
Well, just one final question to you then. At this point, with everything that's happened and events moving so quickly, do you have a message for the people of Catalonia?
Yes, we have a message. The message is that the Spanish government will do whatever it takes to keep those in Catalonia who do not want to lose their Spanish citizenship, their European citizenship, to stay together, to continue enjoying the rights that they are already enjoying, and to be able to lead a normal life in a European peaceful atmosphere where everyone can talk to everyone and no divisive and nationalistic messages are sent about.
All right. Well, unfortunately, that is all that we have time for in this programme. Thank you very much for speaking to us. The Foreign Minister of Spain, Alfonso d'Astiz, thank you for your time joining us there on the line from Madrid. And that's it from me as well. Do stay tuned to France 24. Plenty more on all of our top international headlines coming up for you very shortly.